I have a hard time understanding how a Justice Department can rise up against the President of the United States, how Rosenstein and these other guys can bring a special counsel, and they're all supposed to be reporting to the President. Can you explain how that works legally? I don't understand it.
Well, I mean, the reality is that, well, first of all, the Attorney General recused himself, which, as you know, the President doesn't think was the right thing to do. And certainly, if he was going to do that, he should have told the President before the President appointed him. Yeah. So you could have gotten a person without a conflict on a significant case. Secondly, Rosenstein has made a lot of bad choices. I think Mueller was a bad choice since he had been rejected as FBI director. Also, is a good friend of James Comey, who was the person who engineered this whole thing in the first place. And then Mueller went ahead and hired very, very partisan, over-the-top Democrats to do this job, including one that donated $35,000 or $36,000 to Hillary Clinton. That all amounts to a situation where you can't fault the President for feeling that he's not being treated fairly. And as I've kind of watched this case, I get the sense that that's true. So we're going to try to get this over with as fast as possible and put a focus on the special prosecutor or independent counsel, get his report out right away so we can rebut it.
It's been alleged that his appointment is somehow tainted, that the FBI is tainted because of some of these emails back and forth between FBI agents, that they were tilting toward Hillary and trying to undermine Trump. Is there any of that you have discovered?
Well, no, because they haven't shown us those documents. So here's what we get. They started a counterintelligence investigation. We don't know why. They did utilize what they have to admit are spies that then were inserted into the Trump campaign and infiltrated the Trump campaign. They got information from them, but they've kept that all secret, never disclosed it to the House, the Senate committees that are there for that purpose, never disclosed it to the President, and refused to disclose it to us. Now, Pat, I mean, we've been around long enough to know there must be something wrong with it if they refuse to disclose it. They say there isn't. Well, if there isn't, show me. And I'll be willing to say I'm wrong or there's no problem with this. But I just have a feeling that there's something very wrong with it.
Well, does this withholding of information, doesn't that taint the whole special counsel's inquiry?
That may be the problem. I mean, that may be the problem. They're not willing to disclose or own up to that right from the very beginning, this is a tainted investigation. So first you have this investigation that discovered nothing, and that might have been improper. And then you have the Comey leaked memo that was illegally leaked for the specific purpose of getting a sort of reaction of an independent counsel.
If somebody was working for me and he was like a vice president and he hired one of my avowed enemies to destroy me, I think I would have wanted to fire him. Is there any chance they can get rid of Rosenstein? He looks like he's a bad guy.
I think right now we're better off getting the darn thing over with. Let them put out whatever they're going to put out. I don't think it's going to be terribly damaging, or if it is, that it'll be persuasive. They've gone through 1.4 million documents, 28 witnesses, haven't come up with any evidence of so-called collusion with the Russians. Their claims of obstruction of justice are not based on anything real. They're based on their interpretation in the worst possible light of everything the President did, which is clearly things that he was justified in doing. He fired Comey. Comey was a terrible FBI director. Yeah. I believe Hillary Clinton would have fired him. It didn't obstruct the investigation. My goodness, the investigation has gone forward and caused $20 million. He could have pulled that funding. He could have fired all of them if he wanted to. He didn't do that. So there's nothing to this, Pat. This is a political, I'm sorry, it's a political witch hunt.
Well, if it is, are you going to let the President sit down and talk to Mueller? It looks like to me he would be setting him up for perjury.
Well, I think that's the conclusion that a lot of people come to, and we're certainly not going to do that. I mean, there'd only be a narrow set of circumstances in which we did it, where they showed us what they had. We were satisfied that they were going to be fair and objective. And so far, everything that has happened, including that Spygate investigation, gives us a feeling that we're walking into a trap. So we're not going to do that. And we don't believe they have the power to subpoena him. The Office of Legal Counsel in the Justice Department has written a memo saying that they don't. It was written during the Clinton administration. It's governed the conduct of the Justice Department all throughout these years, and it binds Mueller. So we don't have to testify. And I think in this situation, we can prove our innocence without it.
Well, wasn't he given a mandate in a written letter by Rosenstein that limited the scope, and then every time he wants to expand the scope, he gets another letter from the Justice Department? Can they stop that?
That's exactly what happened. This began as an investigation of collusion. Somehow it's branched out into, since they found no evidence of collusion, you would think they'd stop it. But instead of stopping it, because they hope to circle back, I guess, they started with Manafort back in 2005. They're prosecuting him for something in 2005 that has no connection to President Trump. The situation with Flynn, the FBI concluded he had told the truth. How they got him to plead guilty, I have no idea what they did to the poor man to get him to plead guilty. Maybe threaten his son. And then and he has no evidence against President Trump, nor has he offered any. And then they started with the president's lawyer, invaded his office, and he has no evidence against the president. If they decide to follow those all up, they'll be going on for 3-4 years, all to no avail, and after millions and millions of taxpayers' dollars, which is why I think we have to demand that he put up or shut up, because we can answer anything he has.
Rudy, how legally can you shut him down? Is there any way you can do it?
Well, there's no way to really shut him down except through public opinion and through forcing him to give us a report. So let us see some of the records so that we can write a really good counter argument. The only thing he can do is write a report. He can't prosecute, doesn't have the power to prosecute. The Justice Department rules, again, say a sitting president cannot be indicted. So he can't prosecute anybody. He can't subpoena the president. He's gotten everybody else voluntarily. Gosh, if the president wanted to misuse privilege, he would have used executive privilege. Instead, we turned over 1.4 million documents. We've let him interview 28 witnesses. So he should be satisfied.
Well, all right. I don't know what to say, except that I think the public is turning against Mueller. Didn't he work for you? You were U.S. attorney in New York some years ago. Was he one of your staff?
Well, Comey worked for me in the U.S. Attorney's Office, and Mueller worked under me in the Justice Department. I'm very, very disappointed in Comey. I mean, Comey, I think, is the real villain of this whole thing. I think in Mueller's case, it's more he's not taking control of these people that work for him, and they're going around starting all these new investigations. He's got to have the discipline to put a stop to it, or we're gonna have to do everything we can, including some things that I don't think we'd want to talk about right now, to try to appeal to have it stopped.
The last thing, that there was a leaked memo that the New York Times published. Do you know who leaked the memo?
Well, I know we didn't. First of all, it was a letter. It was a letter from the prior lawyer to the president, John Dowd, that very, very strongly pointed out that they can't subpoena him, and that his acts that they're focusing on could never amount to obstruction of justice, because as the president, he had the right to do it under Article 2 of the Constitution. We did not leak it. The Justice Department had it. Mueller had it. They've leaked other things before. Where did the identity of that spy come from? You know, Pat, the hypocrisy of this is mind-boggling. There's a secret investigation that they won't give us the documents because they say it's so darn sensitive. However, they gave the documents to the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. There's an informant who they won't reveal because he could be killed. And they reveal the identity of the informant to the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. And we couldn't possibly have revealed it. We don't know it. We don't know who the spy was, except they're leaking it. Now, they won't tell the president. They won't brief the president. They won't tell us. They won't give us the documents. But they will illegally leak it to the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. Well, they have to be completely dishonest about this being so sensitive if they leaked it. Otherwise, they're the worst scoundrels in the world.
Well, it's a disgrace. It looks like to me, when it's finished, the FBI is going to be in tatters. I think the American people are going to stand with you guys on this one. But you're doing a wonderful job, and our thoughts and our prayers are with you. But keep up the good work, and it's so nice for you to be here. Thanks again. Please come back, will you? We'd love to have you back.